On New Year's Day, 1980, Reverend Sun Myung Moon delivered a sermon that would completely set the course for his movement for the next decade. The vision was called Home Church, and it was a pretty radical plan to build the kingdom of heaven, not in some massive cathedral, but in regular, everyday homes. So that's what we're going to unpack in this explainer, one slide at a time. This right here, this was the slogan for 1980. This one powerful sentence framed the entire mission for the year. And think about it. The goal was audacious, right? The very foundation of heaven wasn't going to be built in some grand, holy place, but in ordinary neighborhoods, literally house by house. So, what is home church exactly? Well, according to the sermon, it's a mission. The idea was that every single member, or family, would take on spiritual responsibility for a very specific local area, what he called a tribe of 360 homes. And the ultimate goal? To build the kingdom of heaven right there on earth. But this new slogan for 1980 wasn't just some new project dropped out of the blue. See, for Moon, this was the moment everything had been building towards. It was the culmination of a long, difficult, decades-long history. And to really understand the future he was painting, he first had to take everyone back to the past. To really get why home church was such a big deal in 1980, Moon first takes his followers way back, and he recounts what he saw as a history of failure. A history that he believed had to be overcome. He points to one specific moment, 1945. He calls it a missed golden opportunity. He basically says, look, if Korean Christianity had just united with my new movement back then, the entire course of history would have been different. The kingdom of heaven could have been established right there and then. And the fallout from that missed chance, according to Moon, it was absolutely profound. The 2,000-year Christian foundation was basically shattered. The world lost its shot at real peace, and God, he argued, had to start all over again, rebuilding the entire foundation from scratch, using his new movement, the Unification Church. So this historical failure, it created what Moon called a kind of spiritual debt. And the real core of his sermon is all about the decades of struggle it took to pay that debt back. He uses this theological term for it, indemnity. So he lays out this whole payment plan in 3 distinct 7-year chunks. The first course, from 1960 to 67, was all about establishing his own family as the true parents. The second course mobilized his followers to restore the nation. And the third and final course? Well, that's what culminated in this very sermon and the worldwide launch of Home Church. And the personal cost of that first course, by his own account, it was just immense. He described this period of really intense trials for both him and his wife. And he says in this really startling quote that he deliberately acted like a cruel husband as a way to test her, even more severely than Satan himself. Okay, so after setting his own family's foundation through all those trials, the focus then shifted outward. The second 7-year course, from 1968 to 74, demanded these huge, profound sacrifices from his followers, the people known as the blessed couples. And the instructions he gave? They were radical. Wives were literally ordered to leave their homes and families for a 3-year mission. And to get through the pain of that separation, Moon told them to see their husbands and even their own kids as potential enemies, as obstacles on the path to fulfilling God's will. And according to Moon, this unbelievable sacrifice really paid off when it came to public opinion. He said the first year on mission just brought bitter criticism. But then, by the second year, people started to notice, and support began to grow. And by the third year, he claimed their sheer dedication had earned them unanimous public respect. Now here's the crucial part. This wasn't just about good PR. Moon was making this huge theological argument. He was saying that these sacrifices were reversing the very conditions that led to Jesus' crucifixion. See, 2,000 years ago, religious leaders and the government united against Jesus. But now, he argued, the government was uniting with him against his religious opponents. He was, in his view, restoring that massive historical failure. Okay, so this is where everything pivots in the sermon. With all those historical debts finally paid off through decades of sacrifice, the time for a new mission had finally arrived. And that was the mission of Home Church. This was the big announcement. Moon declared, right there and then, that all the historical debts of the past had officially been paid. The era of suffering, of indemnity, it was over. Now the era of building could actually begin. And his instructions for how to get started, well, they were pretty unconventional. He told his members, don't knock on the front door. Instead, find a way in through the back, locate the bathroom, and just start cleaning it for God. And if someone confronts you, you're to boldly declare, this is my home. I'm welcoming Heavenly Father. But this wasn't just about cleaning toilets. This was a spiritual mission. And for taking on this role, members got this incredibly powerful new title, the Tribal Messiah. From that point on, they were to see themselves as the spiritual saviors for their own designated tribe of 360 homes. So you have these really practical, almost strange on-the-ground instructions. But from there, the sermon just explodes into this huge cosmic vision of what home church was ultimately supposed to achieve. And to explain it, he uses this amazing metaphor. He compares the home church to a rocket launching pad, like the one at Cape Kennedy. It wasn't the final destination. It was the essential base, the starting point, from which a much, much greater spiritual journey was supposed to begin. And this is that cosmic journey. Step 1, you launch from your home church base. The first stop, the MON. And yeah, that was a very clear play on his own name. From there, you lift off again, this time to the sun. And the final destination, the very heart of God. And hey, to get everyone motivated, Moon also dangled some pretty serious rewards for the person who became the champion of home church. And these rewards weren't just spiritual. He was talking about tangible benefits, like getting to go with him on trips to the 12 most scenic resorts in the entire world. And he ends the whole thing with this incredibly provocative question. It's a challenge that reframes the entire mission in terms of your eternal spiritual rank. It basically left his followers thinking about these immense stakes. Are you going to aim to be number one, or are you going to get lost in a crowd of a billion? It was a massive call to action to kick off a new decade.